Okay, we're recording.
Yes, I'm going to my iPad.
Let's go ahead and open the meeting then. Special meeting agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Review Board, March 16th, 2022 at 5:30 PM via Zoom platform. Roll call. Savannah Anderson,
Present.
Peter Gaffer,
Present.
Stephen Green. I thought I saw him here.
He's there. He's muted.
Yeah, okay.
Stefan, unmute.
Okay, I think I'm on. Sorry about that.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Oh, man.
Can people, when you're not speaking, can you mute, please? Thanks. Stephen? Are you there?
I think we might have lost Frank.
Oh, shoot.
No, there he is.
All right, let's continue. Laurie Gunnell,
Present?
Stephen Green,
Yeah,
Ben Lepley. I don't see him. Ed Briggs is excused. I know he was busy.
Right.
Doug Taylor, city planner.
Yep.
Okay, let's go right to
It's going to be a tough meeting.
You're frozen, Frank.
agenda item 1.
Okay.
All right, my internet's pretty bad, so.
Okay. If you would you like to assign someone a temporary chair position then?
Yeah, Lori, would you be amenable to that?
I can, as long as people are patient with my lack of parliamentary procedure.
Why would this night be any different?
Sounds good.
Oh, here comes Scott.
Oh, good. Okay,
We can throw it his way.
excellent.
Okay, I think I finally made it.
Take it away, Scott.
Yeah.
We're on
Scott?
number
Everyone.
1, Scott.
Hey, Scott,
Yes, sir.
I've opened the meeting. We're just starting agenda item 1. Why don't you take over?
Have you already done the roll call?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right, call to the public. We are residents of the city of Bisbee may speak at this time to the design review board. Topics that are not on the agenda. Speaking time limits will be observed during the call to the public. The speaking time limit is 3 minutes per person. Do we have anybody that would like to speak? No? Okay, I'll close that. We're going to go to agenda item 1. This is application number 22-08. Address is 14B Art Avenue. The owners are Sean and Mary Mooney. It's a non-contributing property. Owner representatives are again Sean and Mary Mooney. Description of the work to be done is to replace a front door, 1 window in kitchen, and 2 windows in the bathroom. We're going to call for the application now. The applicant or the resident will present their application to the board. Mr. and Mrs. Mooney, are you there?
I am here. I'm Sean Mooney.
Hi, Sean. How are you? Nice to meet you.
Good, good. Nice to meet you all.
Okay, would you like to make your presentation at this time, please?
Sure, absolutely. First of all, I want to say that, I grew up in Tucson and, Bisbee was an hour and a half away and I've never really got down there much. I've absolutely fallen in love with it. We recently we're looking to do an investment property and we found this down in Bisbee, the 14B Art Avenue. Was not in the greatest shape, but we really saw a lot of promise with it and have been in the process of getting it renovated. I'm sure if you're familiar with that property, it's above the Circle K there off of Tombstone Canyon. And, the walls there, are made of wood and everything. And we went in there with the idea that we're going to, bring it up to code and make it really nice. We've are getting going along in the process. Joe Ward has been very helpful. Your building inspector guiding us through this. I told him that I wanted to replace a door that is an old fire door that somebody put up there. It's just this big, thick piece of wood that has two doorknobs. The windows are old aluminum windows that are they were sealed with foam. They definitely need replacing. And I'm requesting to put a door in these windows. I sent images of them, the ones I want to put in. And also, the ones in the bathroom, and then also a kitchen window. They are, top of the line. We plan on doing them with window flashing, also old style trim to try and match, some of the area there. They have like 1 by 4 inch pieces of wood that frame the windows, but the windows definitely need to be upgraded. It's just part of what we're doing. Just to give you an idea, inside we have we're going to have a mini split that's going to have air conditioning and heating, a washer dryer, which I know is something that not too many places have up there. And it's not going to be an Airbnb. We want to make it a long-term rental. I know that's something that the city needs. And I am very understanding of what the historical neighborhood and what that's all about. I actually have a brother-in-law who has a home down on Tombstone Canyon who has completely renovated his home. He's gone so far as he's been remaking the old screens with the wood. But this structure that we're putting, we're renovating is, way up in the steps there. And they need really good windows, and that's why I want to replace them and also have a good door put on the place as well. It's just part of what we're doing to make it a very, very nice place to live.
Okay, are you through with your presentation, Mr. Mooney?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you have any questions
right.
at all?
At this point in time, we're going to get a staff report from Mr. Taylor.
Thank you. The structure has existing metal sliders. I looked at the windows and the current condition of the structure. Both are in rough shape, and it is the applicant's goal to save the structure and not tear it down, of which I am very much in favor. The strategy is to replace the windows and the door with like for like, except that the windows the applicant is requesting he's requesting use of vinyl windows. They're metal now, but they're shot. And I normally don't like vinyl, but I think in this particular case, it may save the building. And it is my opinion that in this case, since the newer style window was installed in the past, and newer style, I mean, almost mid-century or early 60s sliders, that the applicant's strategy will save the building. I think the building could, without the applicant's probably a lot of work and money, could be in danger. And I think he doesn't want to tear it down. I think that's fantastic. As you all know, I don't care for that. And so I think this is a way to enable the installation of historically accurate windows sometime in the future when the funds or desire allow, but it does save the building for now. Thank you. I'm done.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. We're going to now move to public comment. Let me see. Have we had? Do we have anybody that wants to make a public comment on this? On this
I don't have
particular.
anyone.
I'm sorry.
I don't have anyone on the list.
You haven't received anyone, Mr.
No.
Taylor? Okay, now we're going to move into the board discussion then. No public comments will be allowed past this point. It is for the board members to have a discussion and only amongst themselves. So I open this now to the discussion of the board. Does anybody have any comments? Stephen? Oh, I'm sorry, that's your pen. I thought it was your finger.
No.
Okay, Savannah?
I just wanted to say that, yes, even though I always preferred wood. But I do understand the situation with, this particular home and the fact that it does need to be protected at the moment. So I'll sort of make an exception in my opinion with vinyl windows and for this particular home, because I think I'm glad that you are restoring it, and welcome to Bisbee. So yeah, that's just my thoughts on it.
Does anybody else have any comments?
Scott, if I might.
Yes, sure. Go
Just
ahead, Peter.
Basically, yeah, I agree with the other two speakers so far. That a pragmatic approach to saving the building, encouraging someone to reinvest in a structure that won't be torn down, I think is admirable, and I think this is what we as a board should approve.
Okay. Any other discussion from board members? Okay. And it looks like, I'm sorry, give me just 1 second. Okay, it looks like again, Mr. Taylor. If you
I'm
have
fine,
anything-
thank you.
If you have anything
I have no
else
more to
add.
say. No more
Okay.
to say, thank you.
Would someone like to make a motion?
I'd be happy to make a motion to approve application number 22-08 as submitted.
I
Thank
second,
you.
I second the motion.
Lori Gunnell seconds both. Gunnell, sorry, Lori.
All right.
Approves seconded the motion. We're now going to take a vote. And I'm going to do a roll call vote. So we're going to go right down the list. Savannah Anderson,
Hi.
Peter Gafford,
Aye.
Stephen Green,
Aye.
Lori Gunnell.
Aye.
Is Mr. Lepley here this evening?
No, not that we're aware of.
Okay, he's absent or excused or what?
He's absent.
Absolutely.
Mr. Briggs is excused.
Okay, thank you for bringing me up to speed.
welcome.
Scott Perfect, aye. Mr. Briggs, no. Okay, so we've got 5-2, so it looks like it passes. Mr. Mooney, congratulations. Best of luck on your project. Looks like
Thank
you're
you.
headed in the right direction.
Yeah, it's a really neat place, and I'd love to have you all come by when we finish up so you could see really what we did with it, because it's going to be really nice. And,
We accept.
yeah, we're hoping to look
Accept.
good, and we're hoping to find a home down there too. We're also looking at where we could actually have a place to end up in not too many years.
Okay, well, we're gonna hold you to that invite, okay?
You got it. You got it.
Okay,
All right. Thank you
all
all.
right.
On the record.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's on the record now. Okay.
That's right. That was
We're gonna-
recorded.
Yeah.
We're going to move into agenda item 2 now. The application is 22-10B. The property is 114B Quality Hill Road, Ledge Avenue. The homeowners are Chuck Coughlin and Patricia DeRosa Coughlin. Nice to see you both here tonight. The description of the work is going to be a remodel and structural rehab of a 2-story single-family residence. The notification was put out on February 28th. Mr. Taylor, are you aware of any public comments at this point?
I am not.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor.
You're
Okay,
welcome.
public hearing. We're going to go ahead and ask for the applicants or representatives. Mr. Coughlin, Mrs. Coughlin, are you going to be representing yourselves tonight?
We're delightfully so, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, good. And good to see you again.
Good to see all
Okay.
of you again.
All right. And we're going to start with, again, Mr. Taylor. Go ahead and give your report if you wouldn't mind.
Well, I thought they were going to do the presentation first.
Oh, I am so sorry. Sorry to cut you off so quickly there. It passed. Chuck, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Permission, Mr. Chairman, to share my screen.
Yes, please.
Am I able to do that, or do somebody need to give me permission? Oh, there we go.
I'm not seeing anything, Doug or Chuck.
Working on it. I'll get there.
Okay.
Looks like we're getting there.
From beginning. Are we good?
Yeah, I see it.
Awesome. Technology is not one of my standard good things. I do church slides and lights on Sunday, which is definitely not my authority. I've actually shut off the entire lights in the congregation before. So I'll beg your patience with us today as we go through this. I have my lovely wife, as we recognize, Miss DeRoss Coughlin, with me.
Hello.
We'll begin the presentation, and I'll turn it over to her because she is much more confident than me.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members. Thank you for doing this special session with us. I know you probably have other things that you'd probably be preferred to do this evening. We're very excited about this application. And we just wanted to give you a little bit of background about us. I am an Arizona native. We're both civic professionals. Chuck has been in the Valley for several decades. I was born and raised in what I like to call South Scottsdale because there was no North Scottsdale. And I have very few things on my bucket list. One was to go to the Tiger's Nest in Bhutan on my 50th birthday. And the other is, we started looking for a second home. And honey, if you want to advance the slide, I work for Salt River Project. It's the reclamation project, first one in the West. I don't know if any of you are familiar with it. Provide power and water to much of the valley. And that's kind of how our journey to Bisbee started, with a flood. So you see my husband, it was New Year's Eve, about 3 or 4 p.m. on January 31st, 2020. And our brand new dishwasher began to flood our house. And we were getting ready to go out to dinner. And in a very short time, we were able to clean it up, but it buckled all of our wood floors. We have a great room and kitchen. And so we needed to move out of our home for about 3 weeks to have it repaired and store all of our furniture. It was quite invasive. And that's kind of how our journey to Bisbee began. Our friends who live across the street from us, Skip grew up, known back then as Keith Douglas, but we call him Skip. He was born and raised in Bisbee, and he married one of our neighbors, and we were offered their house for 3 weeks and I'd been to Bisbee as a child, but really didn't remember it other than the tunnel, which I was excited to drive through again. And we just fell in love with it during those 3 weeks and started looking around at houses. And that's kind of how our journey to Bisbee began. So, honey, if you want to advance to the next slide. And we started looking at houses, and like Mr. Mooney before us, it's kind of, a patchwork, which is partially what I love about Bisbee. It's just very eclectic. And this house was posted on the market. And at first, from the photos, it didn't really look like anything special. And Skip, our neighbor, said, "You really got to look at this. This is the coach's house." And we had walked past it up the steps from the theater. And when we looked at the view, which you're seeing now, I mean, that is the view. And it's just, besides the home, the character of it, it's got such an iconic view. And we will have a housewarming after Mr. Mooney's for all of you, because it's just something that we want to be able to share with everyone.
Again, once again, you're on record.
That's fine.
Happy to live up to that promise, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and board members. So as she said, I came to Arizona in '85. I worked initially for John McCain's first Senate campaign in Arizona. We fell in love with the state. The business, which you're seeing on the two slides to your left and extreme right, is actually the office that I'm sitting in today and that my wife's sitting in. It's 830 North 4th Avenue. It's an arts and crafts era home and in the Roosevelt district. I bought it in 2000 to house my business, and I see so much similarities with this property. My wife is sitting in the middle picture. She's in the living room of the house on Quality Hill. It's iconic. So that's the front of the office on Roosevelt. That down on the left, that's the living room. A little another picture of the living room. And then I've been on the Roosevelt Row redevelopment committee since the beginning of Roosevelt Row. Many of you may have heard about that place. We in 2015 we got got an award from the American Planning Association for the greatest places in America. For the work we did here on the row. The dog in the lower left he's the CEO of High Ground. She is. She's the chief encouragement officer at the company here, and she leads us through much of what we do here. And so when we saw this, we saw a lot of contemporary equivalencies with the house on Quality Hill. So an extraordinary opportunity to do something unique and something great in this special place. These are our neighbors. These are adjacent Quality Hill neighbors. Have a lovely cat residence right behind us. We tend to help them rectify some of those problems. And then these are the two adjacent properties immediately behind us in the neighborhood. But part of the story here is the catch up with my slides here. Part of the story here is that we saw in a comparison to the house. So Patricia and I were very involved in the preservation of the David and Gladys Wright House in Phoenix. Our neighbor purchased that at a point in time, and we got heavily involved with that and were instrumental in helping him preserve that house. We didn't ultimately get what we wanted, or what he wanted out of that, but the house is preserved today, which is an iconic place. And I'll get to some of this in a bit as we talk further. But both homes suffer from some significant structural issues at the time and some issues which need immediate attention. Patricia, you want to talk a little bit about that? You're muted.
The reason for the photo on the left, although the houses are very different, obviously, in style, we'll show you a photo later on. It's part of that home. First, it was going to be bulldozed, which is just, a travesty. And a very wise bulldoze driver went to the city of Phoenix and said, "Are you sure?" And that's kind of the beginning of us getting involved when we unbeknownst to us, met our other neighbor, and he quietly said, oh, he was working on that project. But that house is in need of some structural, reconstruction as well as ours. And I love this photo at the bottom. I immediately started doing some research. And you can see there's a man. It's a little difficult. He's sitting on top of Castle Rock enjoying the view. And in the distance, you can see our house before the second floor was built. And it's just, being born, especially in such a suburban place we had no history growing up. So I think that's part of the charm of what I love about Bisbee. And we're excited. It's, it's daunting, but it's also exciting because we want to help preserve it like the David Wright House. It deserves a little TLC, and it deserves to be continued for generations beyond us. So it can last another 100 years.
Yeah, as we said, we're lucky to be involved in that project. The arrow here points to a structural failure in the house as we took it over. At the cantilever that was out over the edge of the property, and many of you may recognize this. This was built before the Guggenheim Museum in New York, and it was the predecessor for the Guggenheim Museum in the Wright design world. It was the first, real capturing of that design. And you see the iconic view here of Camelback, but you can see the structure there was falling. There was about an inch separation in the bedroom from the foundation, and it was in jeopardy of falling. And so, we had an opportunity to work with somebody to bring that back into life. We went through the tensions of all that. And it's in light of that proposal that we're going to go through this next phase of our proposal. The porch has some significant structural issues along with it. It was okay. You can see from the photos here that the home is the porch has some significant issues. There's a significant separation from the porch to the home, and that's causing this structural failure on the balcony or on the support there for the home and the upper story of the home. And we do not. This is not anything that we look at lightly. And we look at this as a huge task. It's not elective on our part. We didn't want to do this. We knew it when we looked at the house, there may be a problem there. We were hoping that there wasn't a problem that we could have remedied, and that this was, as we would say, this is not elective on our part. We need to circumvent structural failure. We have a plan here that would replace that front porch structure with these elements here. Structural remedies required. The original front facade and the original windows will be untouched. It will remain in the original condition. But in order, engineering and our thoughts are to preserve the home from further degradation. This is unfortunately, in our view, something that needs to be done. Go ahead, PD.
It's a necessary evil. If we could save the cast ballast, the cast in place, I don't know how to say it, the balustrades or whatever, we would, but we don't think we'll be able to, but we would like to recreate as much as possible that mission arts and crafts style of, the front door and the windows. That will all remain untouched. It's the beautiful original windows, original door. And so it's just really that front patio. And unfortunately doing, it's really like
we asked if those things, could be preserved, but the porch has to be removed and has to be rebuilt.
Yeah.
And so in order to replace the structures in place, and to stabilize the home. So that's essentially on this first. And Mr. Chairman, I'm going to take the liberty of, because we have a lot to talk about tonight, and I'd ask for the liberty or the willingness of your crew to break this into parts, because if we go through the whole thing all at once, I think the discussion would be very difficult for everybody at the end to sort of capture everybody. So I've given everybody an opportunity, Mr. Chairman, here to ask us questions, to make statements or expressions of sympathy for the investment that we need to make here. I'd be happily give that some thought. So at this point, Mr. Chairman, if you, in terms of the presentation, we would welcome, before we get into the rest of the presentation, to discuss this aspect of the proposal.
Mr. Coughlin, I think that we can extend you the courtesy of giving us just a break in between the segments that you're talking about, because I have a feeling that this is going to be quite an undertaking. And instead of just rolling through the entire thing, I think it is a good idea that if we have questions at this point in time, let's go ahead and ask them to you and then move on to a different segment of your presentation, so we're not so we don't forget, and that we do have all the information that we need that's pertinent to the segment that you're talking about.
With that, Mr. Chairman, I'd be open to entertaining questions or hearing from members, or certainly from Mr. Taylor. There's comments that he has, but I think it'd be appropriate for me to shut up now and let y'all ask questions.
Well, I'd like to ask the DRB to just concentrate on what Mr. Coughlin has brought to us, and Mrs. Coughlin, thank you. And in consideration of that front porch and its failure to the integral part of the building, does anybody have any questions pertaining specifically to that portion of the project? Are we all good at this point?
I have a question.
Lori?
Hi. Hello. Yeah, so what's happening on the side of the porch? Is it falling down the hill, essentially?
Yes, the porch is separated from the home. Our structural engineer has concluded, and as you saw on those previous slide, you can see the beam here that is separated. You can see it on both of these slides. Nothing's in plumb anymore. None of that's in plumb.
Mm-hmm.
So the structural integrity of the second floor is in jeopardy. And those are supportive columns. And because, as we will discuss later, the second story was added after the original construction of the home. And so things have changed. As my wife and I acknowledge, Scottsdale has a different idea of maintenance than a lot of places. Personal maintenance maybe, but this is a structural issue in the home. And I don't know if you can see my cursor there, but there's separation here and there's a crack across that's been covered up, but there's a crack about a third into the front porch that about in this area here that's been covered up, but it's continuing to move. And it's created some significant issues on the second floor that any old home would have, but is contributed to additional challenges up there.
And so you're removing the concrete, is that correct? And putting it.
Yeah, we would remove the concrete, replace the concrete. So that's our intention, is to replace the concrete porch, same step structure, same retaining wall, replace those columns with I think it's in here.
Yes.
Yeah, it's in the proposal, what we would replace with, and a wood period style railing, reminiscent of an arts and crafts era railing, that would be replicated, as you will see when we move around to the back of the porch where the stairs are. So it would create the house is a bit of a Frankenstein. So there's been a lot of things done to it over time. And we're trying to create one homogeneous view of the property that's respectful of the historical stature of Bisbee and reflective of the community, and bringing those elements forth that we see in the home as well. But yeah, that would be a replacement of the concrete porch.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. Mr.
And
Chairman, I
Yeah.
have a question.
Yes, go ahead, please, Mr. Taylor.
Okay, I'd like to know who your structural engineer is.
Brian Hope.
Oh, he's not an engineer. He's not, I'm sorry, but he's not an engineer.
I understand there's
He
been
may-
quite a few questions about credentials. I'm just doing the best I can, sir.
No, I totally understand. I'm just thinking you may run into a problem with actually having the engineering done. He is not a licensed engineer, so I'm not sure where you want to go forward. That has no bearing on this tonight.
Right.
So
Thank you,
I
thank you,
don't think-
Mr. Taylor. I appreciate that distinction. In my view, in Paul's on our builder who's working with us on this project to find contractors, which is another problem, is on here as well. And we just look at it. We eyeball it, and from what we're looking at and what we feel under our feet at the house, the position that we're presenting to you today is real.
Yeah,
And
don't
I
play.
totally, and I'm not saying it isn't. I'm just thinking that for your building permit, which isn't the purview of this meeting, you'll need probably, according to what the building inspector will require, it will need probably an actual structural engineer involved.
Mr. Chairman and members, Doug, I do believe that he reached out, and I don't have that name in front of me, but I do believe that he had another strucral engineer actually.
That's great.
review it.
Then that's fantastic. I know he uses George
Lounsbury.
Lonsberry, yes. So he might have done that.
I think he did. Thanks, PD, for pointing that out, because that was in the notes. And so
Yeah.
I apologize for the miscommunication there.
No, that's no problem.
Yeah,
I'd-
Mr. Lansbury is referenced in Brian Hope's letter.
Okay.
Yes, it is. So that was brought up. So the point's been made.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, any other questions here, or should I move on?
I just have, just for my edification and for clarification, when you remove your front porch, you're going to be pulling the face of your front porch back in flush or plumb with the front of the house, correct? And that's, I mean,
That would be my hope.
that would, yeah, and hopefully it sticks, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what you've got now is you've got a porch that's going to be a little bit larger than the new porch that you're going to be putting on. It's going to bring it back into line. Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, there's probably more people in this world that know more about that than I could even imagine, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So move on, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, please.
Could I just ask one question of the
Of course, Peter, go ahead.
Yeah. Is there a crawl space under the house?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Geller, there is. And Paul's actually been in that crawl space.
Yeah.
He's on here, and and he's seen the same thing as it relates to the pilings below the house.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it really isn't germane to what you're presenting, but I was just curious because having said that the wall is in good shape, the retaining wall won't be touched, which is stone, I believe, right?
It is. It's a fabulous stone structure. Built,
Yeah.
I'm sure by Bisbee miners.
Oh yeah, and as when the concrete comes off from the porch, presumably a lot will be revealed about the conditions of the ground there. And it's not germane to this hearing, so let's move on. But thank you.
It's probably germane to my pocketbook. We discussed that.
Almost certainly.
That will be, yeah.
So, yes,
Thank you,
sir.
Peter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The rear upstairs entryway, this is what it appears like today. You want to reconfigure that top landing area. Want to move the door adjacent to the left, which we'll show here in a second. But I wanted to give you a sense of what it looked like today. We'll have some raised gardens back there. We want to, build or redo or have the steps repaved and align those with an entry to the top of the porch. The door would be moved to the left, which we'll discuss in a minute, to accommodate some restructuring there. This is actually the design here. Keep forgetting to move pages. So again, those railings would be replaced along to mimic the outside to create the similar view on the exterior on the outside. So I think that'd be a dramatic improvement to the property. This is the slightly enlarged the porch to accommodate a new bath. That's the reason we're moving that door to the left. The window on the right would be a new bathroom window up there. It's a better use of the space upstairs when we enter the home up there. And the existing stairs will be replaced as well.
You're replacing metal railings with.
Yeah, those metal railings will be replaced with the similar types of products we're using in other parts of the house.
Mr. Coughlin, similar, you say similar products, you're talking about the front porch?
Yes, identical.
Okay.
Identical.
Okay.
Thank you. Patricia, you want to handle this one?
Sure. Along with, we love the original windows. They're just stunning. But the windows that were put in, I believe the previous owner, we recently found out there was a fire, I believe in the 70s. That's when they remodeled the home and they put the second floor on. But the windows that they put in, they're cheap. And we want to replace those with, let's see, the high quality anodized aluminum clad windows. So, they'll be more attractive and they'll also meet international energy efficiency conservation codes, dual pane, argon fill, low E to save energy and conduct less heat. I do work for the power company, as I mentioned, power and water. So, I'm very conscious of this type of thing, and it's APS service territory. But do my little commercial for them. I already had Paul install Ecobee, which allows us to control the thermostat remotely, which is good if we're up in the valley, but it's also good for the environment because you can sign up for a program that during high demand days, you can allow the utility, if you opt in, to raise your thermostat about 4 degrees so they don't have to produce as much energy when we're, getting painfully hot. But so we already have that installed. I'm excited to set that up, but then the windows will also help, make the home more energy efficient. But as you can see from those two examples, we will retain the same, mission style craftsman, of the original home.
You can see the door on the left side of the home here. We're going to be moving a water heater that's currently in this area here over here to be closer to the bathroom. And so we need access to the water heater. So that would be the access to that. That's why there's a door there now. PD, you want to talk about the doors?
Yeah, so downstairs, and then I think that previous image from the kitchen, it's, just kind of odd right now. You have to literally go from the upstairs through the master bedroom to get to the kitchen or the living room. So, but we want to open up the kitchen since we're looking forward to making the yard lovely, not only for us, but for our dogs. And we want to add 2 French doors off the kitchen to an existing.
That's another part. These are the doors that would be upstairs, I think, on the rear patio, and the types of doors that would be using on the water heater closet as well. So we'll get to patio here in a second, babe.
The one on the left is very similar to what we have now at the original front door, which is beautiful.
So that's the second part of this, people. That's the back patio or the back stair access, which if I'd go back to that picture, you can see what that looks like today. I think our design would look substantially it would be congruous with the front of the house and would substantially make the home more representative of when the downstairs period was built. As Patricia said, the upstairs was built later. We're talking to the owners now about when that was. We're doing, I think there's a history of the home on file that we found. The owner's son lives in Bisbee. We're reaching out to him too to talk about it. But what he's conveyed is there was a fire and most of the upstairs was done in the 70s. So that's the goal here of the back porch area. And it's, we thought about getting rid of it. We thought about but getting into your homes down there is that's a Bisbee experience, right? Going down the steps, up the steps to go down the steps again. So the back access to the house is actually very handy. And I'll get to that in a minute in the next presentation about why there's another reason to preserve that upstairs access other than just security, but we're trying to conform it to the period and style that the original home was built in. So with that, Mr. Chairman, if you will indulge us again, those are questions for that.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Coughlin. At this time, I'd like to open this to the board to ask any questions in regards to this back porch. Well, I'm going to call it a porch for lack of a better term at this point. But the stair railing coming down, I think it's an integral part of the eclectic feel of the home. I think it would be a shame to remove them, as you've already discovered on your own. So any kind of upgrade that you can do to that, and I think the railing is going to make 95% of the look much better than what it is already. And I see that you've also taken a different route with the stairs, which is much more interesting to the back of the house. And I do feel for you as far as going up and down the stairs to get to upstairs and then back downstairs. That is a characteristic that a lot of Bisbee homes hold. And I think that's one of the charms that we embrace and we strongly support. So if anybody has any other questions about this.
Mr. Chairman, those windows and doors included, as you mentioned, on the porch too here, but those are our thoughts right now.
Okay, and so you're including the door frame?
Yeah, that was on that. These are the doors that would be we'd propose for the back of the house there that we would be using. So, and the windows that Patricia mentioned earlier.
Well, and having seen the front porch of your home, and this is, I love glass in a door, and especially when it's high like that, it's more of a privacy issue, but you still get a lot of light in. And I think that would be conducive to the look of the house, as opposed to just the 6-panel door. But then again, that is just my opinion, and I like your choice.
Well, these are the windows we're referring to here.
Yes.
These three here. And of course, we're not doing anything to the original windows out front. We love those windows. And so we're leaving those alone, but these two would be, would frame the master bedroom, if you would. And then this would be the window upstairs. So we're looking for a uniform, territorial arts and crafts era look that would be respectful of the downstairs of the home.
And so the window on the upstairs veranda, where next to the door, that has been relocated, and that's where you have a bathroom going in on the interior.
Yeah, you can see in the original, the window's over here.
Yes,
So
I did see that.
Move the door here, move the window there.
Yes.
And we'll talk about the reasons for that here in a minute, but that's the thought.
Okay. Does
Any
anybody
questions?
else have any comments, questions?
I do.
Savannah?
Hi. I have a couple. So, I mean, you've provided with a lot of drawings here, but none of them really indicate which or, what's being replaced, what's staying. So for the doors, you said you think they're going on the back. Can you give me specifications of what kind of material they are? Because there's not a material list here.
They would be wood. We're looking
Those
at
are wood.
Those are wood doors that we're losing, that we would be using, which would be replacing. I think
they're metal doors now.
they're metal doors now. So these wood and wood.
So they're not wood, they're metal.
They're metal. Yeah.
The current ones are metal.
The current ones are metal. Okay.
Yeah.
So the ones you're thinking of using are wood.
Yes.
All right. And then the railing you said would be the same as the front, but I wasn't specified what you were using for that. I know you're having wood pillars, but you also mentioned metal there. So what's the material for the railing?
Thank you for that opportunity, because I want to be clear about that. It is a wood. Let me go back and look at my description there. It's actually on the period style wooden railing, and the non-original columns on the front will be tapered wooden columns. So it's a wooden railing that we would replace out front, and that is what we would use back here to mimic that, which we're doing out front.
Okay. And then for the windows, so there are the 3 on the back, and then there's going to be 7 more because you have listed 10 new windows. Are they all the new aluminum clad wooden on the inside windows?
That is our plan.
Okay.
You can see right now, these 2 windows are together down here. You can't see the other window. This is where that closet is over here, because there's a retaining wall that runs up this side of the property and all the way down that side of the property. So you really can't see it, but unless you're standing in front of it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Good question.
For the
Good
opportunity.
question, Savannah. Has anyone else? Comments, questions? Clarifications, edifications, anything? Mr. Coughlin, I think you're free
Thanks,
to
sir.
move
We'll go to the
next
south
section.
We'll go to the south elevation now. And we're getting there, people, so bear with us. So this is the south elevation, and I want to specifically refer to the upstairs now of the home. And this is what would look like. So the windows here are, this is the entryway to the upstairs. This is mimicking the view to Castle Rock that we previously showed you, as is this window here that is also a view of Castle Rock. That is in the bathroom that was added, gosh, probably, I think we're guessing sometime in the 70s, that by what we see in there, but we'd add those 2 windows. The most significant issue here, and we'll get to this, bear with me while I entertain you for a minute as to the reasoning why we want to do this. It's the dormer, which is non-original dormer in the home right now. And when we saw the home, honestly, we thought of this. We thought of the right home, and we thought that the view, Wright said building architecture is only when the mind of a man consciously takes into and tries to, with all his resources, to make it beautiful, put concordance and sympathy with nature and all that into it, that you have architecture. And so what we were talking about, is Wright's theory about having a home in accordance with its surroundings. And really the surroundings of this home is Castle Rock. It's a fabulous, that view we showed you at the front end is exactly that. And so with your patience, I'm going to go through a couple of, because this really was the thing that said to us, we got to go here. This is really cool. That's the front view on the top that you see from the porch. Unfortunately, that's me being fat. And that's me below on on the right property, that's the view of Camelback. It's positioned, the home is positioned so it has an aperture of Camelback. That's what was exciting about this, that the windows that we're talking on the south facing, as I just said, take advantage of those iconic views of Castle Rock. It incorporates the architecture into the surroundings. The only originals in the residence are those original windows will be untouched. Again, we're not touching those. Any entry doors added or replaced will be those period wood construction. It's the home is tucked into the hillside. We've seen it. You can see it from, if you stop down by Castle Rock and you can look up. But catching up with myself here. But that's what we want to do. We want the home to celebrate its place in the place of Bisbee and that iconic view of Castle Rock, which is super, you can tell I'm excited about that. And so this rear entry to that would be, hang on, let me catch up with myself here. So this is what it is today. So that's what those two windows are today. I got a wood stove there that, probably heats the upstairs pretty well. Upstairs actually gets heated pretty well right now, just through but those two little aperture windows that are underneath that non-original eave is what's up there right now. And as we said, this was an addition to the home in the 70s. It's only the lower part of the house was the original part of the house. And, for whatever reason, we don't think they took advantage, as the original builder did on the downstairs porch, of the view of the home of Castle Rock. And so we want to take advantage of that on the property above. So that's a non-original dormer, and we want to create a bit of an outdoor living space up there. That's what you see here. That would let people in the home, and visitors and others, and you guys, presumably when you come over to celebrate this expenditure, to celebrate this view of Castle Rock with us, because it is an iconic view of Bisbee, and of that architectural feature of Bisbee. So the outside access, and it'd be available. So it's a non-original dormer, same style of columns will be used above that are used below. And what we're looking at is the same type of window structure up there to replace those small aperture windows. And what we're talking about there, for your benefit, and if you take me back to go back to, in your thinking here, to the rear entry to the house. So when you enter the rear access to the house, that's what you'll see. You'll see Castle Rock through these sliding windows that would spread out, and you'd have an unobstructed view of Castle Rock from the top of the porch, on the porch up there. So the same thing that the original builder thought of when he was downstairs, we're trying to mimic upstairs, which, when the second story was put on, obviously was not considered. I understand this is a change, but I believe it architecturally enhances the house, because it positions it in the place that it ought to have been when they added the second story originally, to have this view of Castle Rock. And that's, that was really exciting to both Patricia and I when we really looked at this home to begin with, despite, as she said, all of the foundational shortcomings, the fact that you can't even get to the upstairs without going through the master bedroom right now. And so that was what we were talking about. Let me see if I got anything else to say there before you guys. I don't think so. So Patricia, you got anything to add to that you'd like to add before we go there?
No, like you said, we kind of went on our little diatribe with the June Kaneko exhibit at the David Wright House, which was incredible to be able to be a part of that, and the way the home frames Camelback Mountain. to the north and the Buttes to the south. And so that's our Kaneko. We can't afford one of those. They're quite pricey if you look them up. We're not, but you know, our Kaneko is Castle Rock. And this is an aside for the ladies who are on the committee. That view of Castle Rock is what the men have in the master bathroom when they go to the bathroom. Unfortunately, we don't position ourselves in the same direction, so we don't have that view.
So I always thought the Castle Rock sort of looked like a giant Kaneko that was, he would have cast it himself if he had had the opportunity. So thanks, babe. And the female view needs to be equal in the bathroom. So we're trying to fix that.
Yes.
Okay, are we at a break point now, Mr. Kaufman?
We
Ms.
are
Kaufman?
before the final phase of this presentation, which I'm surely you're all grateful for.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions specific to the second floor dormer addition? I suppose I could call it.
That's an outdoor living space. It's the outdoor living space that would be built underneath the existing dormer.
Correct. So what you've done is you've taken the face that is pretty much, well, it is in fact flush with the face of the back of the house. And you're going to be pushing that back into the house so you can have your opening doors or your glass wall that has opening doors that is going to actually create an outdoor living space, bringing it inside the house, correct?
Yes. If you see that break where they have the wood carpet, it would essentially be, those would be the doors, and so it's not huge, but it would just allow us to, bring the outside in and vice versa.
The structure of the roof stays the same, I believe. And those pillars would be on the exterior with the railing, a 42-inch wood railing. And this space here would be outdoors. So you'd have when you enter from the back of the house, that's exactly what you would see through the glass would be Castle Rock.
Thank you, Mr. Coughlin. Does anybody have any comments or questions?
I have a question.
Ms. Cannell?
So you showed us a slide of the proposed sliding door windows. Yes. So which is the one that you're going to be using?
I think Paul would say that's dependent upon supply right now.
Okay.
But the goal, it's a great question. We want it to be in this architectural style. I prefer the one on the right.
I do too.
But I think what we'd like to feature is that sliding feature so we can open up the whole space so the view can be seen. So there's nothing obtruding into the house that would obstruct the view. So the geographic, the structure of this, but with the design of this.
And they're both clad wood.
Correct.
And the one on the left, are those windows?
They are.
It looks like it's solid, so it's hard to tell in the.
No, right. It's just a poor depiction. It would be glass. I wouldn't want to ruin that view with wood. I want to that's the whole goal, is to open up the room to the view of Castle Rock.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're in the home stretch, people. Last, and Patricia, since I've bored him enough, you want to take over here?
Let's see. Yes. So I believe I mentioned this earlier, adding two French doors off of the kitchen. So that's the kitchen right there where the arrow is pointing. That's currently a laundry room, but we just wanted there's a little patio right there, and just allow for another, sitting space off of the kitchen for when the weather's nice. And the weather's much nicer compared, even when it's warm in Bisbee, it's about 15 to 20 degrees cooler than it is in Phoenix. So, just to allow us to bring that, open up the kitchen a little bit. And again, it would be, follow the same design as we showed earlier, and the the clad wood, energy efficient doors. So,
And there's a concrete patio, existing concrete patio out there right now, next to a brick barbecue that needs significant love. So that opened up an outdoor dining option, with immediate access to the kitchen, from the kitchen to the exterior of the home. So if there's any I didn't put a question slide in here because I thought we're at the end. So this is Sunset from Quality Hill. So at some point in our lives, we'd like to wake up there and look at the sunset.
I believe that's
Or
the sunrise.
Sorry, this is sunrise. Sorry. I'm feeling like it's the sunset of our presentation, but maybe the sunrise of a project. So that's Mr. Chairman. I will yield unless my smarter wife has anything to add.
No, not at this point. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for your time. Thanks for the attention.
Well, thank you very much for your presentation. There obviously has been a lot of thought and a lot of effort in putting the entire package together and making it appear as a whole, and not segmented, which a lot of Bisbee houses do look like, and that's just due to the nature of the city of Bisbee and the occupants that have previously owned the houses. At this time, we're going to ask Mr. Taylor to give a staff report.
Thank you. Just a note, I think a design note is that the doors you choose, and I know that it's supply chain issues and all kinds of things, but the doors that you choose should complement each other and the windows. So if you use the Craftsman 4-square look, I would go with that. It's some, I wouldn't say you have to be identical, but it should complement that. I believe that the applicant cares very much about the house and the view and the environment there. I think that they will be very good caretakers of this house. And though it's a contributing structure, it sounds as though it's been changed over the course of the recent times. And it is my opinion that the proposed changes, if somebody else wanted to bring it back to some early 1900s look, could easily be restored to historic accuracy. And that if that was desired, that could be done in the future, or when a budget was available, or when maybe your kids want to do that, who knows? But I think that you've done a great presentation, and I think you're going to enjoy the house.
Thank you,
Mr. Taylor. Mr. Taylor, can I just, my interpretation of what you're saying is that the Coughlins, what they're doing is they're laying good structural boneworks for any kind of future remodeling that might be done by other occupants of the home, and you're seeing that as a good thing. Yes.
I think that what they're doing is a good thing. What I'm saying is they're changing some of the items, and if somebody wanted to bring it back, they're not changing it that much that somebody couldn't change it in the future, or that they couldn't change it in the future to a historic look. But I think they're doing a good job, and they're not tearing anything down. They're repairing something. And I think it's a good choice.
Mr. Chairman, to Mr. Taylor's comment, that's exactly what we've done here at 4th Avenue. I mean, that's what our intent was. It's a historic structure in Phoenix. And again, if any of you are up here, the fridge is always full. You're welcome to stop by, have a beverage with us. There's all kinds of beverages, so you can take us up on that too. But that's our inspiration is, this house, that house, the right elements that we see in that house, in the iconic location of the house. So I appreciate your comments, Mr. Taylor.
Okay. And now we're going to declare the public hearing open to receive any kind of public comments, whether they're or opposed or in favor We're going to put a 3-minute time limit on anybody that is, that does want to speak. Is anyone on Zoom with us that would like to speak in favor or opposed to the project that the Coughlins are bringing before us today? Mr. Taylor, are you aware of anyone?
No, I am not.
Okay. Okay, at this point in time, then what I'm going to do is declare the public hearing closed. There's going to be no additional comments made once the public hearing is closed. Okay, so we're going to go directly into a board discussion. There won't be any public comments. Of course, Mr. Coughlin, Mrs. Coughlin, you will be open mic'd so you can answer any questions that that we might have at this point in time to you. Okay.
Perfect.
So let's open this to board discussion. Yes,
Peter?
yeah, Mr. Gaffer.
Yeah, I concur with what Mr. Taylor has said essentially. And I do thank the applicants for an extremely detailed presentation, which I've been on the board for 4 or 5 years. And it's probably the most elaborate one we've ever had, just for the record. Thank you. It does offset the criticism I have of the application, which is not really about what they're proposing but it was a very poor lack of detail in the elevations. In fact, there was no annotations. And I think I suspected Ms. Anderson had the same problems I did, trying to figure out what was going on. The reason I raised this is, number one, we are in the process of redefining the application process. So I'm discussing this. I'm sorry I'm eating up the time of the applicants, and it's nothing really to do with them at this point, but we will ask for a lot more written detail on the drawings, because the drawings are beautiful. Brian Hope did a fabulous job, as he always does, but it doesn't tell us anything. I mean, is that existing, is it proposed, or whatever? And I don't think in the future we would have accepted the application as it was presented. The applicants have done an excellent job in filling in the blanks, which has made a lot of difference. The concern I have is that what goes on the record. The drawings don't tell us anything. They show a picture. The PowerPoint presentation will disappear. How do we record what the applicants have proposed? And I have a little bit of a concern in that. Basically, I'm in favor of the project very, very much. I'm certainly willing to vote in favor of the application, but I'd like to know what the rest of the board think about this, because we don't know what's going on. The drawings didn't, the application itself did not tell the story.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Peter. I would just like to make a comment on what you stated. You've brought up a very good point. I think, and I'm just going to throw this out there, is that I don't see a problem with approving the project as it is, contingent upon that we get more definitive, more descriptive drawings with more call outs. And I believe that's what you're looking for, Peter, as far as materials.
That's exactly it. As I say,
Okay.
the drawings are first class. Brian has done a fabulous job, as he always does, but it's like he didn't finish. You know, he put down the pencil or his computer mouse and didn't annotate the drawings. And I know from Ms. Anderson's comment earlier on, and from my own, I mean, I went out there, looked at it, I got the general idea. I can see the columns are leaning. But some of the window detail, the doors, it would have been better if the drawings had been fully annotated. It could be done by hand. It doesn't need to be computer drafted. But it would be nice for the record that we could record on the application rather than go back to a 31 slide PowerPoint presentation to know what was really going on. It's
Mr.
partly,
Chairman,
sorry, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Gaffer, if I may.
Yes, please do.
Thank you, Mr. Gaffer. I think it's a supply chain issue as well. So we wanted to get through this exercise today. And then, we're going to get to the building department. I know that, which will take additional investment on our part. So I wanted to give you a concept design of what we're doing. I was quite frankly concerned that you may have objections to the view shed, the opportunity up north, or even for God's sake, taking off the porch. And so I thought what we were trying to do today was get through that. But I thought at a point in time, it's completely appropriate at the building phase, building permit phase, to stipulate, the kind of things that Mr. Taylor spoke to, that, you'd prefer period design windows, period design doors. That's clearly what we intend to do. So, and this is a home that, we plan to live in. This is a home that I'm hoping my daughter and her husband want to, they just got married in Tubac in October, in December. I'm still recovering from that expenditure. And so we're looking at them, hopefully being second generation residents in this with their kids. So, that's the goal. And so I want to assure you that's our intent, but I know it's a very reasonable question on your part, but it's the supply chain issues that really boggle the mind right now.
No, there is no doubt, I don't think in any of the board's mind, that you're going to do a good job. You're very sincere. You come over very well. You've done a very, very thorough presentation and given us a lot more history than we normally get. It's just for the record, we've had these problems in the past, and we're trying to tighten up on the application, make it clearer exactly what we want. And I wanted to air this really for the benefit of my compatriots on the board, rather than, I'm not really yelling at you, but I am saying, look, we can't accept an application like this in the future because it doesn't tell us anything. We don't really want to have an hour's presentation to explain something. What we get should tell the story. Brian's letter is pretty good. It filled in the blanks, but again, people like to look at drawings and see which window. Oh yeah, it's really sometimes confusing, southeast corner, northeast corner, and so on. A drawing that has annotations on it worth 1,000 words. That's all I have to say. It's for the record. I think otherwise, and depending on the general feeling of the rest of the board, I certainly think it's a wonderful project, and I wish you every success with it. And I certainly don't envy you that concrete work. Okay, that's all I have to say. I'll shut up.
Mr. Gaffer, I think you brought up a very pertinent and very important to the board. We need as much information presented at the time so we can make an informed decision on this. The fact that the annotations aren't there, is that because of a reason, or could the reason be, and you can tell me whether I'm off base or not, Mr. Coughlin, is that you haven't decided on exactly what they're going to be yet?
You're muted.
I didn't know I was going to get the okay today, much less what we were going to be talking about on products. But I can assure you, and if you guys want stipulations at the building department phase, I see Miss Anderson has her hand raised too. That we're happy to talk about that because I think you sense our passion about the project as well.
Okay, thank you. And Savannah, I'm sorry, I cannot see you at this point.
That's all right.
So if you have a question, please feel free to.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt.
Sure.
Sorry, Savannah. Could we remove the presentation from the screen so that we can sort of see each other again?
Mhm.
Up. And slideshow.
Which button do I push?
There we go.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's much better. We can see
Okay,
giant size Scott.
Miss,
All right.
Miss Savannah, would you like to comment?
Thank you. So I'm in agreement with what Mr. Gaffer has stated here. And I first want to take the moment to say, I really commend you guys for spending the time, and really, it shows that you care about the home that you've purchased here. And it shows that you care about the community and just, the neighborhood. And I really appreciate that. But when it comes to, even though we can understand what you're trying to do from your presentation, it's a really big concern for me that, like many of us, we'll go and look at it, and we're unable to do that through our normal eyes this time, because we weren't able to see exactly which things are going to be replaced. Even though you gave that wonderful presentation, I still don't know precisely which 10 windows are being replaced. And so for me, because we also just don't have a list of what's going to be used, there's nothing on the record for that. It's something that I don't feel I can vote for now, but I really want to vote for it at some point. I don't know how other people on the board feel about it. I really like what you're doing. I just don't have enough information to really make an informed yay on this, because we for example, we have had issues where we don't have a door for say in the application, and then they go and choose something completely different from what they've said. And not that I don't trust you, it's just been a problem in the past, and I don't want to that to happen again in the future. So that's my opinion on it.
Ms. Cannell?
Thanks. Yeah, I would agree. I would actually suggest, because I do think it's a great project. I did not understand what all you were going to do until you did the presentation and filled in gaps verbally, right? So I mean, how long would you need to get all the annotations in there that we need in order to approve this project, which would give us elevations and, and a material list of, what the doors are going to be in the windows and all that. Because if we had that, then I would be, like Savannah said, I would be an aye. But as it is right now, we just need more information in the application itself.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So we bought the home, Patricia, we bought it in
End of August,
end of August.
September,
Yeah.
end of September, I think.
What's that?
September.
September.
Oh,
Yeah, we've been in there and we've had 2 nights in there because it's not livable. It's really not livable right now. It takes a lot. And Paul's been working with us out of his good grace to do that. And if you were to stipulate materials, I could never meet that. I couldn't do it because I don't know what's available. We were trying to find the garage door you guys talked about 2 weeks ago. We're still working on that. We have it. I mean, Mr. Taylor has approved something, but we can't get it. We can't get it till July. And so that's a problem to go down there. I mean, you guys, I don't have a vote. I just clearly don't have a vote, but that's the problem that you'd be pondering for us. I'd like to begin work on the porch because that's not going to be, that's the first thing we're going to do. And that's going to take a long time and a lot of money. And as was found, when I think Mr. Gaffer spoke earlier, I'm fearful of what else we'll find, quite frankly. And so I'd love to be at a point where I could satisfy the 2 of yours design requirements. I'm not there. I can't. It won't. I couldn't move forward with the project, which I desperately want to do, because it's going to take a long time to do. So if you'd like to put stipulations in the, that the types of products that, that represent what I've presented today, I'd be happy to go with that. But, I beg for your support on this. I don't think I'm going to get it, but I think that's a troublesome approach for somebody who's actually trying to get something done.
Mr.
approve it.
Mr. Davis?
Yes, I'd like to say, I think that Mr. Coughlin has shown the intent here and the style that he would like to do things. So and there is need to start the project, to hold up, he's giving you options on different styles, and they all, to me, look acceptable to the DRB standards. So I really
Mr. Davis, I think you froze on us.
Yeah, you froze.
don't think you need, I was trying to make a point there, but I don't think you need all that.
Are we having technical difficulties? One moment, Mr. Taylor.
Thank you.
Mr. Davis, are you able to?
I'm through. That just wanted to make that statement.
Okay, and a good point at that. Mr. Taylor, you want to make a comment?
Yes, thank you. There are two things if you want to stipulate more information. The next meeting is in 2 weeks, the next DRB meeting, but also I'm there if you want to, I know that time is of the essence, and if you want to put it in my camp for approving various selections of materials. I know we're working, and Mr. Gaffer is absolutely correct. We are working on a tighter, not more complex, but a tighter amount of information that we get in a proposal. And I appreciate the board's patience all this time as we sort of slog through that. But we can help the applicant along if you all agree. And I definitely hate to see somebody held up, but if you agree, there are two sort of stopgaps for that.
Mr. Chairman? May
Yes,
I?
go ahead, please, Mr.
I'm
Coughlin.
happy to stipulate if you guys wanted approval to be stipulated with the presentation we made today to similar materials that we've referenced here today. It is a supply chain problem. I can guarantee you that. So I don't intend to deviate from that. But that's the goal of those types of materials which we presented to you today.
No, I understand, and I appreciate that. And from what I've gotten from the conversation so far is that you've made more headway here today than you thought you would. But at the same time, there's still something that might be holding you back. We're trying to, and that's why we're talking amongst ourselves as how we can remedy that situation, get you underway so you can attempt the tasks that are going to be the more serious ones, such as your front porch, the most critical one, I would say at this point. So the only thing that I'm a little uncomfortable with is I think that the wording has to be very precise as far as and maybe Peter, you're so good at this. Maybe you can throw something in after I'm done saying something here. Is that in the vein of what you presented to us today, that the materials need to be along those lines, and not broad enough that they can be expounded on, and not to say that you will do something completely different than what you're proposing, because I don't think any of us believe that you're planning on doing that. So I think, and this is my opinion, I think that we can pass this today, but we have to word it carefully so it is on record, as Peter says, and you Chuck and Patricia, you don't feel like your hands are being tied. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Peter? I'd like to hear your,
I have
your
something
opinion.
to say before a motion might be made. If that's
I beg your pardon,
Just
Savannah?
before a motion's made, I have one thing I'd like to.
Oh, no,
bring.
yeah, I think we're just a little bit away from making a
Okay,
motion.
all good.
Okay.
Okay.
Peter?
No, I'm waiting to hear what everybody else has to say.
Okay,
I'm on
Savannah?
the fence.
Savannah?
Well, so this is my thought process on this, and everyone else can say their opinion on it. So you said that you want to start with the front porch in particular. And that's good. You have, you know what you need to do first to help with the structure. My thought process is we do have another meeting in 2 weeks. And if you could provide the actual photographs or actual products of not just an explanation of the wood railing of the actual, what you're going to use for those. And then the most of what you can, I realize supply is an issue. Perhaps I would feel more comfortable at that time, perhaps approving it and then adding on some sort of administrative approval for doors and things if that has to change from what you've picked up. And that's just my thought process on that.
Mr. Coughlin?
Well, if it's the difference between approval and not approval, I'll take that. But I got to tell you that I've been in this thing since August, and I'm spending money. And
I do have sympathy for that, and
well, it should be reflected in a vote, then in a trust of what the record of this applicant is. And we've stipulated to the design. You can stipulate to that. There's significant supply issues. There's expenditures that are looked at here. I think I've compelled the value. I think we both convinced you of our passion for the project. So micromanaging this is offensive. I'm sorry, it is. I've worked in government my whole life. Last year, I saved the city of Bisbee $678,000 in sales tax money because the state was going to cut your income tax. Was going to cut it, share. You get state shared. We represent the League of Cities and Towns. I went to war for the city of all the cities we represent, including Bisbee. We represent the League of Cities and Towns. I go down to the legislature, and this is exactly what I hear from a majority of the legislators down there, that this is what goes on. You get nitpicky instead of trusting an applicant to do the right thing and stipulating to a presentation that we would bring back to you what we've done today and bring back to you, and then we stipulate. I'm probably not helping myself here, but that's okay, because maybe we'll just put it back on the market and you can get somebody else to do this, because maybe I don't want to build in this town.
Mr. Coughlin, I'd just like to say on my behalf that I don't think that we're trying to I don't think we're trying to nitpick this. I think what we're trying to do is we're trying to feel our way along with what has been required, what we require to come in front of us. Now this package was brought to us for consideration today, and I think it's a wonderful job. I think you guys have done an amazing job. I have nothing but accolades for your intentions. My initial question that comes to mind was, should this package have been presented to us today with the lack of information that it was? And if you just let me finish, I, for one, do not have a problem passing this today. I just don't want to. I don't want to pass it with the feelings that we're going to be nitpicky and we're going to tie your hands and we're going to say, you've got to do this and you've got to do that. I think you've done a great presentation. I think we see your intent, we see your background, we see that your passion for not only your current home on Roosevelt, the house that you worked on, the Frank Lloyd Wright house. And I think that you're going to carry over and do the same exact kind of work with this project. I don't have any other ideas that you will be doing anything different.
Mr. Chairman, may I?
Yes.
We approved the garage door last week with Mr. Taylor approving the design products. I'd be happy to stipulate to that as well.
Mr. Davis?
Well, I was just say that, the way that our application is at this point, I think that Mr. Coughlin has met the criteria for it. He's shown what he intends to use there for materials. He hasn't been able to specify exactly, but Mr. Taylor can certainly check that for the board and for everyone when the time comes. I think he's made his case, and I see no reason not to approve this at this point. You know, what exactly, you know, Savannah, she wanted to see the wood railing. What,
You cut off, Frank.
Right at the most important time too, huh? Okay, if he doesn't come back, I'm gonna have to concur with Frank. I think that you guys have done an amazing presentation. I don't have a problem with approving this. Frank, I'm sorry, you were interrupted because your camera froze. Do you want to complete that?
I'm not sure where I left off, but I just feel.
Stop that wood railing.
Yeah, that it's a wood railing. So, I mean, what more do you need to see? The detail of the wood railing? I mean, you can see that in Brian's a picture of that. I mean, he didn't, you know, what things weren't called out in there, but our application does not call for that at this point. You know, future applications perhaps, but right now that it doesn't call for that. I think they've met the criteria. They've worked, obviously done a lot of work with this. You can see the intent. We couldn't get a better client, you know.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Savannah, do you have a rebuttal?
I'm good.
Okay. I think that we're at a point that we can make a motion.
I'd like to speak first, please.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes, thank you. I feel for you, sir. I think you did a great presentation and we're along the road of knowing what the design is. I do feel, I wish Mr. Hope had been here tonight to help your drawings along. I do feel you may have been let down by that. I think that I know that the drawings are the legal document that we go by. Brian has done this process many times. He knows that it's not that you don't bring it to the building inspector to decide design issues. They're decided by the design review board. That having been said, we were trying to help you. I wish that you had understood that, but that having been said, I think we have a path for you out of this dilemma, and that you can get started sooner than later. And I do know that, and I liked working with Paul. He's very good. I do know that he has the best intention of getting what you want. So I'm here to help you if I can. I just wish that there had been a better presentation. That isn't the case, so we can move forward, I think.
And Mr. Coughlin, I'd like to remind you that Doug Taylor is the staff liaison. He doesn't have a vote on the board. Okay. So, and I'm questioning, this is vetted through your office, is it not, Mr. Taylor, as far as
Yes,
bringing
it is.
for the applications?
Yes, it is. And on this particular one, I asked Mr. Hope for more detail and he got very angry with me and it was very abusive. So I don't want to hold his hand. He isn't cooperating at this time. He said if it's required, he'll bring it, but it's never been required before. So I do have a problem with that.
I think Mr. Davis has already made a statement that it wasn't required at this time, so it can go forward.
I said that. I just said that.
Yeah. Okay. And so I don't understand your sentiment that just because Mr. Hope got abusive, why you would just let this go through then.
Mr. Chairman.
I didn't just let it go through, sir. I tried to get him to bring more information and he didn't do that.
Okay. Well, I'm seeing what we've got, and from the discussion that I'm hearing, I think we can move forward with a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to make a motion in favor.
Please, Mr. Gaffer.
Subject to, okay, let me see how I can word this. I make a motion to approve application number 22-10, paren B, as presented, provided that the applicant provide to the city planner within a reasonable amount of time a marked up version of the application, which details as best as he can at this time the changes which are being made to the outside of the structure for record purposes. I hope the applicant understands what my intention is now. This is an aside, but I'm not asking for him to be nailed down to absolute detail and absolute material specifications, but to the best of his knowledge at this time, and then present that to the city planner within, say, 2 weeks. This can be handwritten. That would then go on the record. I think I would be very happy. I think everybody on the board should be happy with that. It doesn't delay the project at all. The applicant can proceed, and I think the whole town's going to benefit from a great project.
Okay, well, and that was your motion, Mr. Gafford?
That's a pretty long-winded motion. That might.
Okay,
might
okay.
hold her up.
I would like to second that motion.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask a question for
Yes,
clarification?
please.
To understand Mr. Gaffer's additional specifications, would that include such products or beyond products that we're going to use? What else would be entailed, at least in your?
No, quite honestly,
appreciate
I
the
mean,
recommendation.
really what would be so helpful to us is you have elevations and you mark up, you say, change window, such and such, such and such, change door, such and such. It's a very simple thing. It's just what those drawings lacked. And it would walk us through the project so much easier. It'd be on the record. We wouldn't establish a precedent for people coming in, giving us a really lousy presentation and just saying, trust me. We obviously trust you. You know that. There's no question. We're not insulting what you've done. It's just that we're trying to have some consistency within what we look at, what goes on the record. And my goodness, in 4 or 5 years, we've got some doozies which don't tell a story. We pass them and then it really leaves it open. And I just don't want to establish that precedent. It's nothing to do with you. It's establishing a precedent.
Mr. Chairman, Mr.
A
Gaffer,
handwritten
I-
annotation, as best you can. You know what you're going to do. This door or that door. Just mark it up. Give it to Mr. Taylor. I'd be happy as a clam.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Gaffer, I appreciate the clarification. I personally support the motion.
Okay. Shall we take a vote? Savannah Anderson,
Aye.
Peter Gaffer,
Aye.
Stephen Green,
Aye.
Lori Ganell,
Aye.
Scott Perfect, aye. Mr. Briggs is gone. Okay, and so we have got, it's passed unanimously.
Thank you, members. Thank you for your care for your community. Hope we can contribute to that in the future. I know Patricia and I feel passionate about it, and thank you for your patience with us today.
Do we still get the invitation to the open house?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you. That's all we care about.
Oh, no,
Okay.
that's over.
No,
Okay,
to answer, I work in politics, sir. So I'm not a
And
dummy
just-
about that.
just-
Today's enemy is tomorrow's best friend. So let's keep our you got to keep your mind open and your relationships open. So thank you, all of you, for your
That's-
time.
Thank
That's a
you.
nice sentiment. And Mr. Coughlin, Mrs. Coughlin, thank you very much for an amazing presentation. I think it was something that, and I've sat on the board a lot shorter time than some of these members have. It was a super presentation, and the explanation along the way helped a lot. Thank you very much. And your passion is very evident.
Thank you. Have a great night, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members. We really appreciate it. Have a good night.
Thank you. Okay, at this point in time, now we're going to move on to Agenda item 3, application 22-11, address 605D Adams. Property owners are Tom and Janet Northrup. Representative is Brian Hope. A description of the work to be done is new construction of 120 square foot garden. Do I see Mr. and Mrs. Northrup? Are they on?
Yes, we're here. And yeah, that's correct. We're finishing up the improvements to our property at 605D Adams and interested in moving forward this year again. And we are in need of a garden shed for storage. And it's a separate building from the house. And the other advantageous thing about it is we're going to be able to use the materials that we used on our house. So it's going to be a matching building with all of the characteristics of what we've already installed. So we're here to ask for your approval for this garden shed. And apparently because it's 120 square feet, which is a nice sized building, it will serve adequately our needs.
Okay, all right. And is there anything else that you would like to add to your
Well,
comments or to your
we're-
presentation?
We're also trying to use up the materials left over from our major construction on the house. So the garden shed would be duplicating the same type of exterior with a metal roof, with
Teardrop siding.
teardrop siding.
Mhm.
And the double hung windows, French pane design, which are in the original house. So
And this garden shed is located at the back of our property, the front of our property being 605 Adams Avenue. So it's not visible even from the road because of the steepness of the grade.
it would be completely hidden from public areas. So. Anyways.
Okay, and I think what we're going to do now is, do you feel comfortable with your presentation? May we move on?
Yeah, I'm not sure if you received pictures or elevations or anything, because we did have Hope CGI draw up some things.
We do have
We do.
elevations. Yes.
We do have elevations, and we do have one orthographic drawing that has call outs on it.
Oh, that's
So I
good.
think-
I wasn't sure that they got to you. And
Yes, no,
I'm
we
glad you have
did.
them.
We did get those. We
Okay,
did get those as well as an aerial view of your home and the plat map. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to yield the floor to Mr. Taylor for his staff report.
Thank you. And I want to commend the applicant for sitting through, where are we, about a 2-hour meeting. Thank you. I know you have a very short project and a very simple end to it, probably. It is the staff's opinion that a shed roofed accessory building of plain and simple design could be seen anywhere in Old Bisbee, and I think that's a good thing, and therefore will blend into the existing neighborhood and will be a good addition to your neighborhood.
Oh, good. Thank you.
That's my, yep, thank you. I'm done.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. I do appreciate that. Now we're going to declare the public hearing open to receive public comments. Once again, Mr. Taylor, I'm going to ask you, are you aware of any opposing or favorable comments on this job?
I am not.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to declare the public hearing closed. We're now going to have board discussion. So there will be no additional comments to be made by the public at this time. So board, do we have any questions that we can address, that we can address the homeowners with?
Exemplary.
Yeah.
Go for it. Let's vote.
Thank you.
I think,
I don't have any questions. I think it's lovely. It's not going to be seen from anywhere because it will be behind the house. The materials are acceptable as far as I can tell. Reading this nice drawing that has call outs, wood clapboard, I think that it's great. So,
Thank you, Ms. Gannell. I would just like to say, Doug, did you hold your finger up?
No.
Okay, I'm sorry. I would just like to say that it's a very befitting little project for a pot. It's a garden shed, right? A potting shed?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Great little project. Good work as far as the drawings that you've sent forth to us. It is fairly straightforward, fairly simple. I think it's good. Let's move fast on this one.
I agree.
Any other comments? No? Okay. You didn't have to answer any questions, so that's good. Okay. We've had the board discussion. Now we're going to go once again, we're going to address Mr. Taylor for staff comments.
I'm good with it. Thank you.
Are you okay with everything, Mr. Taylor? Okay. All right. Now the board will make a motion. Peter, a short one this time. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Cannell.
I would like to make a motion for application number 22-11 to be approved as is.
Second.
Peter Gaffer seconds it. Okay. I'm going to take a roll call vote on this one, as every other one. Okay. Savannah Anderson,
Aye.
Peter Gaffer,
Aye.
Stephen Green,
Aye.
Lori Gannell,
Aye.
Scott Perfect, aye. And it looks like we have passed unanimously.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
Thank you very
You're-
much.
Thank
You're
you.
very welcome, and thank you again for being so patient and sitting through that long presentation ahead of you.
That's fine, and we appreciate your time, so.
Yes.
And one
Both
other
ways.
thing, go Cats.
Okay, Janet. Maybe they're not interested. In it. Anyways, we appreciate your time and
Cats.
thank you very much for your approval.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank
Yes.
you for your time. Okay, now we're at the point in the meeting where Mr. Taylor is going to make a staff comment in reference to the Design Review Board name change. And
Yes.
there will be no discussion. This is going to be information that Mr. Taylor has garnered and he is going to pass forth to us. Okay.
We spoke with, well, actually Nina spoke with the city attorney, Joe Estes, and he felt that the unofficial names that we'd been talking about would be confusing. The DRB was created under city code, and it is a charter created board. I believe that the charter comes back up for review in 5 years. Maybe Frank can correct me on that. I think it's 5 years from now, or maybe 4 years from now. And it was 5 years when we were looking at it, but it's 4. And thank you. And that would be the time for a name change. In the meantime, I think the name is going to be, unfortunately, for the board, because they voted differently, I think it's going to be what it is. So, and it makes the DRB makes a very nice little short thing to say. So maybe that's okay. But we as a body can change that name in 4 years. Thank you.
Mr. Taylor,
Go ahead.
No, finish your
No, I
thought.
have one more comment after that, but go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to thank you for looking into that further and giving us a very precise interpretation of what comes out of that discussion.
Thank you. Thank you. My second, are we in my comments? Is that the staff comments? Is that where we are?
You're in staff
Okay.
comments.
Thank you. The second thing I wanted to draw your attention to is I passed it today and looked at it. It was approved by the board about 4 months ago, I believe, and maybe 3. And it is, and I don't remember the applicant's name. I just jotted a little note that I wanted to speak to it. It's that shed. I think it's on Taylor. on the corner there. It's a pretty big shed. And I would just like board members to maybe pass by and look. I don't know that it's being built the way that you thought it would be built. It may be, I may be wrong, but I was shocked at the size and monolithic look of it. And I'm not saying it won't turn out great. It's still in a framing state, but it looks like a small house, and I don't know if it's going to be what you thought. And I just think that could be an eye opener.
Mr. Davis, I'm glad that you're still on. Are you active or are you frozen?
I'm trying to get my internet to work.
Okay. I just have one question to you. Once we pass something, maybe you can explain to me what the protocol is for enforcement. Who has enforcement at this time for asking I guess for enforcing what has been passed to be built as passed?
You're looking
And
at,
that would be Joe Ward. Is that correct?
yes.
Okay. I don't know. I appreciate you bringing that up, Mr. Taylor, because I drove by it yesterday and noticed I was a little surprised at the size of it. It looks larger than I thought it might. But and again, excuse me just one second, Frank. I want to finish this thought. We are looking at a piece of work that is in progress. Okay, coming from background of home building, I know that homeowners can go into a home and say, this is not what I wanted. And when it is specifically what they wanted, and it's just an unfinished product. So if there's anyone that needs to, if anyone that needs to take a look at that, I don't think it's under our purview to enforce what we've already passed. Am I correct, Mr. Davis? Frozen.
Like he's frozen. Yeah, you are correct. It is, I wasn't asking for you guys to look at it for any enforcement reason. I just think going forward, we might, I know that was kind of sort of the thing we talked about tonight, or that you talked about tonight, was a trust in the applicant. And I think that I see the other work that applicant, I can't remember their names, did. I love what they've done to their home, and the back of it is, I've walked above it. I didn't think that it should be anything but just a lesson for the future. That's all. And maybe not. It may be perfect. I don't know.
Yeah, I think maybe it's good point to bring up, Mr. Taylor. But I think if we just give it a little more time and see how it pans out.
I agree.
Okay. All right. And Mr. Ward, good to see you pop up all of a sudden. And Frank, I know that you're next, and then Ms. Gannell.
Yeah.
I was
No, you're-
just waving.
Oh, okay. Mr. Davis?
Well, hopefully my internet will hang on here. I just wanted to apologize if I offended anybody tonight by stepping in. And Savannah, I did not mean to single you out or berate you. I appreciate you being on the board and what you do. So
I don't feel that way.
Okay,
Don't
I'm
worry.
glad. Sometimes I
Don't
get
worry.
a little passionate. So,
We're all entitled to our opinions, and that's,
yeah, thank you.
so it's
In
all good.
fairness, Frank, I think I was the one who was the most critical, so I should take the rap.
Well,
Yeah, Peter, it was all you. It
It's
wasn't
all
me.
But when you saw the perspective of that little garden shed, it had everything on there, one picture, it's all you needed. It was absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
We should probably use that in our as an example for the application. It was just so unusual to see such beautiful perspective and elevations with nothing on it.
Yeah.
Didn't say anything. And
Yeah.
no, I don't agree with anybody who defended that. I know the rules are not exactly specific, but the application has to tell the story, and that did not. They did a fabulous job with their presentation, but
Yeah, they did do a fabulous job. And Mr.
Fabulous job.
Gaffer, I'd like to applaud you for towing the line and pushing hard on having us keep to our word is what we're trying to attempt here.
if nothing
Okay.
else, as we move forward, we'll try to do better.
We can always do better, and hopefully we do. We've got two ways to go, sideways and up, and hopefully it's up.
All right.
Okay, do we have to have a motion to adjourn? Do I
Well,
get a, do I have
sure.
an emotion?
Yeah, motion to adjourn.
Second,
Apparently everybody's.
Okay.
enjoying it.
I gotta do this, sorry, guys. Savannah,
Aye.
Aye,
Peter,
aye.
Stephen,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
Scott, aye. And the meeting's adjourned, and thank you, everyone. It's been an interesting meeting, but we got to see some different sides of different people's viewpoints, which I think is fantastic because we all got our own opinions, right? All right, everybody have a nice evening. Thank you for hosting the meeting, Mr. Taylor.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye.